Hello, this is Dominique. I am the supervisor for this VSFS internship, and today I'll be going over a basic rundown of how to use Trello as a DME, Digital Media Engagement DME intern. This right here, what I'm looking at, this is Trello. We have multiple boards that we work with. Depending on what department or channel you work with, you will be joining a board. Board names are VOD, Instagram, special projects, etc. As you can see here, we have other content, podcast. I don't think we actually ever used podcast, but vet centers is someone that we're helping out. Remediation is for the accessibility team, and this is for VSFS task board. That's something that I use when I work with the various department heads. Um, so these are all, and yeah, Women Athletes Project. We haven't used that in a while. It was for a special project, but so these are all a number of the different boards that we use for conducting work here at the Digital Media Engagement team. I'm going to call it DME from now on. So just to show you a few of them, Trello is one that a lot of the interns will be using. I'm not Trello, but the VOD Trello is one that a lot of you will be using. And this is where we do our Veteran of the Day. And this is special projects. This is where we do things like Operation Song and something that we've been calling a veteran story, which is basically going over the stories of veterans and like writing them out in detail. And then our Instagram team uses a Trello board, and that helps them work through the process of creating content for Instagram. So we're going to go through a little more in depth now. On each board, we have lists. The lists have cards, and you'll be creating and getting work from the cards. The information about what lists you should be getting your work from will be in your channel's introductory document. You can also contact your department heads if you are confused as to where you will get your work from. In this instance, you see we have the VODs awaiting approval, priorities submitted by the public, in progress, waiting for graphics, ready for editor review. These are all different lists, and inside of the lists you'll see cards. Each individual card represents a Veteran of the Day post that we are working on writing up. Notice the VODs awaiting approval. If it doesn't have enough graphics, it won't get approved. So you have to make sure that, by graphics I mean photos of the veteran. You gotta have to make sure that there's plenty of high resolution photos of the veterans so that we can make graphics for them. And just be aware that each board is different. They have different lists, and they're kind of set up in different ways depending on what the department head wants. So, depending on which team you join, you're going to have a different board, and it's going to have different labels and different lists and different processes for moving things through the content creation workflow. So, all right, I'm going to go back to VOD, and you'll click on a card to begin working on it, or to look at more information about the card. So here's an example. Barry Sains. You click on the card and it opens it up. And notice we have a description, Air Force veteran, graphics, writer, fact checker, and editor needed. All info on images have been collected via interview. Okay, so got all this stuff, and there's some kind of a document that you could probably download and start working on. And this is in Google Doc. And notice there's a big old checklist here that you have to go through. So you click on the card in order to open it up and get more information. Here's another one. Notice there's a link to Wikipedia. And you'll see name, description, any files that are associated with that card, which photos, which will be photos, links, or documents that are associated with the post that have already been written for that card. You also see colored labels, and this is where you'll be able to show that you claimed the card. Notice right here we have writer assigned. Here's the labels. If you look in here, graphic designer assigned, researcher assigned, reviewed by editors, um, editing in progress. I guess that could be called editor assigned, but just so you know, also another way that you want to identify that um, you've claimed a card is you put the label on, but you also um, make a comment that says writer or editor, fact checker, or whatever. So now, so you click through the labels and select writer assigned. This is what Ben here did, writer assigned, or whatever corresponding label applies to you. Check it, and now everyone will be able to see at a glance. Notice you have that orange label, orange label, orange label. You can see at a glance that there is a writer that has been assigned. This allows us to know that you worked on the card, and if we need to ask someone the question, we know who to go to. And you could also, at the bottom of the card, add a comment that says writer or editor or whatever job you perform, and that helps us in knowing who has worked on what. It also prevents multiple people from working on the same task for the same card. Now I will show you how to add images, completed graphics, or documents to the card. You just click and drag documents in, and they are added as an attachment. So here I'm going to make a sample card. Sample card. All right, and I'm going to add a graphic to it. Let's see. Actually, I have some photos here. One moment. Just drag and drop. And notice how it's just, boom, there it is. It's pretty easy. Here's how you add a document. Drag and drop. Basically just drag and drop them onto the card and they will show up. You can also click the attachment button and upload a file or add a link that way. So if you click on this button right here, attachment, you can do the same thing. And you have many options, like if you have something saved in Google Drive, you can add it from there, or you can open up a folder on your computer and add it from there. But I don't need to do that right now. Now, once you have added your document or updated the graphic, please update the label to the appropriate one. So if you have added a document, you're going to say document attached. Click that label because that indicates, hey, there's a document here. So the editors know that, yes, a writer has been assigned. So, let's say you're the writer, you get in here and say writer. Save it. Then go add the label writer assigned. And then when you're done uploading the document, you put document attached. And then if you were the fact checker, you would say fact checker. Save. And then if there's a label for fact checker, researcher. We called it researcher last year. So, and then same thing with you can just write graphics or graphic designer. Click save, and then go into the label and say graphic designer assigned. Now this is, of course, keep in mind this is for the veteran of the day. There's different labels associated for the other boards. They don't all have the same exact labels, but just pick the ones that are right for you and your team. If you completed the graphic, please go back to labels and select graphic updated. So let's say you've attached a bunch of graphics, right, or a bunch of photos. So for instance, this one I wanted to have, we make like a collage or something out of all these photos of the Department of Veterans Affairs. So I got all these photos, and as a graphic designer, I want to make some kind of a collage that shows the front of the VA central office building. Okay, I'm going to whip those all up and put them together into a nice little collage, and then I'll upload. Let's pretend this file right here is a collage, and I'll upload it. Yay, I made the collage. And now we have a beautiful collage, and I'm going to go into the labels and write graphics updated. If you need to talk to someone else that is working on the card, for example, if you need to ask the graphic designer a question about the graphic, you should be able to see who worked on it or who is working on the graphic. Type in the comments section @name and type your message or question, and it will send a notification to that person that a comment was left for them. Additionally, if you are commenting on something that anyone on the card could answer, or it is a general question about that card, please use the @card to notify everyone on the card. So, for instance, um, you know, you know who the graphic designer is. Dominique is, because he signed up for it. So he says he's graphic designer, so we're gonna say @Dominique. Well, I guess it doesn't let you @yourself. @D. So for some reason you can't talk to yourself. But let's say I'm talking to Will DeGrande. I might have butchered that. I don't know. So, well, I would say @Will, and I would choose the correct one. Yeah, and then I would write, I am just doing writing to you for a video, and I would say save. And then, so just assuming that Will was the graphic designer in this example. One other thing, I like to add myself to the card, so click DR, but in this case I would want to add Will as well. Will. If you're signing up for something, you should add yourself to the card as a member. All right. And if I wanted to notify everybody on the card, which in this case would just be me and Will, I would write @CARD, all members on the card. Actually, it's just one, I guess, because you can't talk to yourself. This is a sample of writing to everyone on the card. Yay. So that happened. And that's just how, that's like a general announcement to everybody on the card. So you're going to be moving these cards as they go through the creation and editing process. Once you have completed your task, you can click and drag the card onto the next list in the process. So, like for instance, on the sample card, clearly we have, had a writer assigned. That writer attached a document, and the graphics have been updated. The graphic designer was assigned, and they updated the graphics. And a researcher was assigned, and eventually they'll say the research was completed. Researcher assigned. They'll probably just write it here in the comments that research has been completed. So it was submitted by the public, and you're working on it, and so now it's a work in progress. And then if you've written your card, you've written the Veteran of the Day blog post, but it doesn't have any graphics yet. Nobody signed up for graphics or whatever. You can just, like, you're going to want to have photos on there already. Basically, it's going to start out, you might get it submitted by the public, but you still have to submit it for approval. And once it gets approved, it'll have this little pink label on it, and then you can start working on it in progress. And then once you get your document written and attached, if there's no graphic, usually the graphic designers will start whipping up a graphic as soon as they can. But if there is no graphic, then you put it over here waiting for graphics. And once the document is written and the graphics are created, then you'll put it over here ready for editor review. And then once an editor has gone in here and assigned themselves, usually there's editing in progress, editor, And then once they're done editing, they'll say review by editors, and then move it right along. Um, so if this was a priority draft for DME, or if this was a priority, it means it's submitted by the public, or it's something that is um, needs a quick turnaround. It's kind of important. Like for instance, we recently had the passing of President George H.W. Bush, and that was a priority. So usually, also if it's a priority, you'll see a red priority label on it. And yeah, so the DME team, DME being my team, digital media engagement, they'll review what you've done. If there's edits needed, they'll kick it back over here. Once you do the edits, put it back over here, and then we'll take it and schedule it in WordPress that for our blog, Vantage Point. And yeah, so that's just about it. I'm going to go ahead and take this and archive it because we don't really need it. But I'll delete it. That's basically how we use cards and Trello in general. I will say that it is, like I said, a little bit different in various boards. In the special projects board, you have inbox. Not sure what we're using that for exactly, but potential ideas. Here's where people are putting ideas that they want to work on. When you get it in progress, you put it over here. And we have a template. As you can see, a number of these are being worked on, and they're in a standard template. So the graphics team gets to start working right here. If it's in progress and we don't have a graphic for it yet, you're obviously going to put it waiting for graphics. And then once it's all the graphics done, the document's written, you can put it over and ready for editor review. And then Gary is my boss. I forward them to him via email, and he does his editing. So that's how it works in here. And then also in Instagram, we have interns that go out and find content for us to share. Generally, it's created by the public affairs offices of the various VA medical centers across the country. And so we just take it and they will kind of rewrite it so that it works well on Instagram. This is for the Instagram team. And then once it's pending, approval, I guess, they'll put it over here. If they need a link, because we had to go and check pictures and source material. Like, I want to see how it was originally written up, because sometimes it's not exactly, when you rewrite it, the message isn't exactly the same. So we do that. If the photo needs to be resized, we put it here, because Instagram only accepts certain photo sizes and aspect ratios. If it needs just a whole new photo, you would put it here. Some of the photos are okay, but they can be like blurry, so they need to be cleaned up, or the color is washed out, and so you need somebody to fix that. So you put it right here, so the graphic design interns can work on that. And when they're finished working on it, they'll pop it right over here. If it needs to be rewritten, you pop it over here. These are for this day in history posts. And then this is something that our graphic design interns actually have a lot of fun with. They do, it's called silhouettes. It's kind of fun to try to see if our followers can guess what it is that we've hidden from them in the picture. They often get it right. And then, yeah, this is coming from, I don't even know why we're still using this. It should probably go away. But once it's ready to get scheduled on the VA Instagram page, it shows up over here. Somebody takes it and moves it over here, I should say. And then, when we're scheduling it, we put it over here. So that's that. I think pretty much covered how to use Trello. And if you have any further questions, talk to your department head. Thanks.